What is good, guys? It is Reed and welcome back to another video. This video is one that was actually requested by one of y'all. Shout out to Paul getting on my ass to get out the spread call video. Because this is it. I'm a big fan of the spread call, more in recent times. It's not a newer move for me, but one that I've found to love more recently because it is super versatile. You could do a million things with the spread call, and I absolutely love it. So it is a harder move to get really good at, and I'm still not the greatest or the best at it. But I've gotten pretty good at it, and I do use it quite often now. So versatile, such a great tool, and I have some really cool theories and stuff that I'm working on with it. One in particular is I think I've talked about it in another video, or it'll be a future video. I think it'll be a future video that I'm going to talk about it, so this will be my first time talking about it. So anyway, it's called, I think I'm going to call it the open index. So it's an idea where you can have access to any card from a shuffled deck, any named card, simply by spreading through the deck. But the way you do it makes it feel to the audience that there was no control and that you never even looked through the deck, really, right? The way it's presented is so you can instantly, in a second, get access to any card they name as like an index, but you're doing it right in front of them, right under their nose, and you're literally just looking for their card. It's as simple as that, but there's so many subtleties that they don't know that you even spread the cards, basically. It doesn't feel like anything. It's just like this, and it's totally like a it's a great super practical, very powerful tool that I'm still refining. But anyway, that's a side topic, video for another time. I will be teaching that. So credits, Hofzinser is the big guy who can, spread call, that sort of his thing. And then as of late, let me figure out how to say this man's name again. Yeah, Kostya Kimlat. He is a machine. The Roadrunner Cull is amazing. Now what I'm going to be teaching you guys is the spread call with a few of the important touches that the Roadrunner Cull has, but of course this is a paid product, so I'm not going to go into any sort of depth on it. But you guys, if you want to get good at this move, don't watch this video. Go buy the Roadrunner Cull. Like, it's incredible, and I just want to give you the best sort of advice on spread call, but I'm not going to get into anything that he talks about. He goes into way more depth, and he is a machine at that move. So you need to go check out the Roadrunner Cull. So, super versatile move. I'm going to show you guys how to call one card, how to call a four of a kind, and we will go from there. So let's jump right into the spread call. All right, guys, time for a quick demo on the spread call. We'll use the twos. I just want you guys to see here that all these cards are different. All right, and you can see, I guess that's a good explanation for why I'm going through these cards. And if I snap my fingers, the four top cards are the four twos. Time for some exposure on the spread call. So if we go for the threes this time, as I'm going through, just showing you all the cards are different. We get to another three. We get to another three. And we go through, and we get to our last three, and then we close the deck, and the top four cards are the four threes. All right, guys, so time for the breakdown. So let's start off with the hand positions for the spread call. So basically, the idea is to be spreading the cards in a bit of a track between your hands, okay? Now, you want to be able to have a pretty straight spread, but I even tend to have a bit of a curve. But what I do is I'm not just curve spreading the deck the whole time, right? It's kind of a curve, and then as it closes, it straightens back out, like an accordion. You see that? It's best to be able to straddle the deck, okay? Because then you can keep everything in line. So with the index and pinkies of both hands. Now, I don't use the index in the right hand because I use the index to cull underneath. Now, if you want to build the habit of culling with these two fingers and keeping the index on top, that's probably suggested, but I don't have that habit, and it's very hard to break. So with your left hand though, you want to basically have the cards in a straddle position with these two fingers underneath, and then you're just pushing off with the thumb. Now this finger, you're coming in kind of the crotch of the thumb, and you're using the fingers underneath to hold everything up, okay? Pinkies at the bottom on both sides. That's very important. That'll keep the cards from falling, especially if you're doing this kind of up like this. You don't always do the spread cull down. You'll often do it in this position as well, okay? So you really want to get comfortable. If, you know, a lot of you might not feel comfortable with that, but you need to get those pinkies at the bottom of the spread, okay? That's gonna help you a lot. We're doing all the work with this thumb, okay? It's gonna be going really quick and just pushing over all these cards as this hand comes in and pulls them out, okay? It's gonna be like an accordion, so like, see what comes in and out like that, okay? Rhythm is super important with the spread cull. So we have middle finger and ring finger underneath the index of the left hand, at least on top, right hand too, if you want to be extra good. And then pinkies at the bottom and the thumbs on the top. This first thumb is kind of the right hand is coming in and accepting cards and taking cards, whereas this thumb is doing all the work kicking the cards over, okay? So you want to be able to get a nice, good straight spread. And again, it's okay if you do a bit of a curve, just make sure as you come back, it kind of straightens out. The next thing that's important is the actual cull itself. So there's two sort of kinds of culls. There's the first card cull, and then there's all the cards after the first card, because the first card is different than the rest. So you're gonna spread, and let's say we wanna cull the ace of spades. What you need to do is take this left thumb and hit the card after the ace of spades, which in this case is the king of hearts, okay? Then you're gonna use the fingers, the ring finger and middle finger of the right hand, and you're gonna pull that card out, okay? And because you're holding this, you can pull that card out. If you were to not hold this and pull, the whole spread would close, okay? So again, you need to hold this card. As you pull, you're gonna pull it as far as you can, and eventually it's gonna clear. And you're just gonna have a feeling. You're gonna know that card's gonna clear because it's gonna fall, it's gonna drop down slightly, okay? And now, you can feed the rest of the spread in underneath that card, okay? All right, so from another angle, if we cull, you can feed the spread underneath that card until you close, all right? So we're spreading, contacting, culling, and then going. Now, one thing we want to avoid, and it's going to be hard, this takes a lot of practice, is you do not want this to happen, right? You don't, so they say the six of hearts, you don't want to be going, and you don't want this. The six of hearts just vanishes from the spread. You need to be able to cover, let's say we want to call the 10 of hearts, you need to cover the card and be able to cull it as it's already covered, okay? So that is what's going to take a lot of practice. So what you're doing is you're not seeing the card contacting and culling instantly. What you are doing is coming through, you identify the card, let's say the Jack of Clubs, and then as you're starting to close, as you're starting to bring the hands back together to close, just as that card gets covered, you're now contacting. You basically can leave your thumb on that card you want to cull and just slide these cards underneath and then cull the card now as the spread is closing and then go to open back up again, okay? So it's a very important rhythm. That's very important. You're doing a nice little spread like this, okay? So you're spreading open and closed, open and closed, open and closed. The next thing that's really important is your eye position, okay? If you were to spread a deck of cards, everyone is going to be looking right in the middle. It's where the spread is the biggest, where the most amount of cards are visible, and that's just how our eyes work. So you're probably used to doing that too, but you need to get your vision all the way to this first card that's visible at the thumb. You need to be watching there because you want to see the card a split second before they do. As best as you can, you want to be able to see that, because ideally they don't even see their card. Like if they named a card, ideally they don't even see it as you're going to cull it. And the way you can try to get an advantage is to have your eyes focused up here. So your eyes should be focused there. So that's very important because we're going to focus now on when to do the cull, okay? So let's say the 4 of hearts. So we're spreading and we're looking for the 4 of hearts. We're looking, we're looking, we're looking. Okay? We see the 4 of hearts now in our vision. And it's good. You want to be fully extended when you locate that card. That's best case scenario. And usually you can arrive there because what happens is you're spreading, and unless it's one of the first few, then at some point all of the cards are going to end up in this first position, right? So you kind of want to kind of get ready for the cull once you see it in that first or second position that's visible. So this is a good spot because now you're going to have this thumb on top of that card that you want to cull. You're going to be starting to close the spread, and you're going to put, usually the card before, but it doesn't even matter if it's 2 cards down the line, get in front of it, okay? Just in the action of simulating closing the deck, And just as that's happening, that's when you're going to sneak in and cull that card, and then you can continue opening the spread again, okay? So that is sort of the rhythm. So it's spread, identify 3 of diamonds, bring the cards into close. As you're closing, that's when the cull happens. And then you can either close the deck if you're done, or if you're culling more, so 3 of clubs, going to close, continue spreading. Let's go 2 of diamonds, cull the 2 of diamonds as we're closing, and then open back up again, and we've culled those 2. Okay, so you want to, you basically, set up for the cull, bring the card over top, and go. So one thing I want to touch on is that idea of covering. So if we're going ace of diamonds, remember this thumb, originally I said it had to be on the next card over, but if you leave it on this card, it's fine, because you have your hand spread, and then you're closing the spread, which is going to put that top card right on top of their card. It's going to do 2 things. It's going to get their card out of view so that you don't see their card, they don't see their card just disappear from the spread. It's just going to seem like we're closing the deck, and it's going to put your thumb right on top of the next card, which is going to allow you to cull their card. And even if you're a little messy and like, look, I could put like 4 cards on top all the way to the 3 of spades, and I can still very easily cull their card out from the bottom. Okay, so that's a nice little tip. So a quick overview: straddle the deck in the left hand. As you pass it to the right hand, use this right pinky to prevent the cards from falling at the bottom, okay? Spread open and close. A very nice rhythm. You need to practice your rhythm, okay? Just like that. Very nice. You want to get that rhythm going. And you don't need to go too fast at first either, okay? Now you're looking, your eyes are here. The second you see the card you want to cull, 8 of clubs, you get ready, you have your thumb down, you're pushing over, and you start to close the spread. The second their card gets covered, you can cull while continuing to close, and then open again, and you're good to go, okay? Again, for the cull, the thumb just needs to get on top of that card, or the thumb needs to be on the next card over, and it can be as simple as just sliding that card under the thumb. And then these fingers, basically the index, middle, and ring, can just pull that card out, and you can just kind of let it balance here and push the cards into it. Now, a few notes on when you have that card here. You want to make sure the deck is pointed down enough. I just try to aim the faces of the card at their eye line, and that'll prevent this flash. In the uses and other ideas, I'll give you a good tip for also covering that flash. But you don't want to let the card just like fall super low. It's just a little bit, because you're really only sliding in 1 card at a time, right? So because you're not sliding in the whole deck unless you were closing the spread. So you can just keep it very minimal, because look, you're only sliding in a single card at a time, right? In thickness. Again, but if you're going to close the whole chunk, you might need to open it a little more to get that, but then that's fine, because it's not just sitting there, it's just kind of closing and no one sees it anyway. Like in the Roadrunner Cull, goes into it so much detail. If you guys are struggling with like any of these elements, he covers like way more tips on, how to not lose the cull if you reinsert it back into the spread, and how to prevent the cards from falling, and squaring up the deck properly as you're spreading. Like, you really need to look into that video, because the spread cull is great, and Hofstadter spread cull is great, but the Roadrunner cull is really what you want to learn, and that's really next level. In my opinion, you can do some amazing things. His Caligula Triumph is ridiculous, and a lot of his other effects are awesome. So let's talk about some subtleties. So the one that I was kind of getting into is to hide their card from them. There's a couple reasons, right? So ideally, if they name a card 4 of hearts, and I can go through and they never see their 4 of hearts, because remember, they're going to be looking in the middle of the spread where my eyes are up here. So if I can identify, let's say the 7 of diamonds, I can quickly cover it and cull it, hopefully before it gets into their view, because they're going to be focused at the middle. Hiding their card is great, but you can deliberately do this. So let's say they have the 4 of diamonds, or the 3 of clubs, all the way out here. I can instantly, instead of waiting until I close the spread over top of it, I can take, if we have the 8 of clubs, I can take these back fingers, contact these cards here, and push them like that over top of their cards. So from the top, see the 9 of diamonds? I can literally take my fingers right on the 5 of spades and just push it over top. See how that works? Really easily. And I'm just pushing this edge here. This is the 5 of spades. I'm just pushing the edge of it over top. And it's weird, I don't know exactly how to explain it, but you know which edge belongs to which card. Once you start playing around with this, you just know, like I know, let's say this is the Queen of Spades, like, I know this will be the 10 of spades, right? It just kind of works. So what I like to do is especially if you're not so good at the cull. This is a great little tip to improve. The second you see that card, cover it. So here's what I mean. You're going through, you see the 2 of diamonds out here, and you cover it. Okay? So then there's no heat on me. Spread through, 2 of diamonds, covered. Right? You'd never see it. It's right there, but you never see it. So what's great is now that it's covered, I can take all the time in the world. I can just pause here and call that card out. Like, you know, you guys, you didn't even see it. So I come through, cover the 8 of clubs. Like, I can stand here all day. Doesn't matter. I can bring the cards back together. I can very slowly call that card out. You're never going to see it. And this is great if you're not good at the cull, but you still want to use it and you're practicing, right? You can come through. They say, let's go 9 of diamonds, right? You come through, boom, and I've hidden it. Now I can take all the time in the world that I want to call that card out and go like that. It's an amazing tip. And guys, here's the thing. Everyone wants to do the cull so fast, but yeah, and it looks great if you can call the whole deck really fast. But I actually do like to do it often slow. This is a great subtlety, and here's why. I like to make a lot of eye contact with the people as I'm doing the cull. So I'll go like this. I'll spread, so let's say they say 10 of diamonds. I'll spread some cards and I'll say, whatever pattern I'm using. Let's say I'm trying to have them, I'm pretending like they're memorizing this whole deck. So I'll say, all right, I want you to memorize these. Do you have these few? And I'll take a pause. I'll separate my hands. I'll come back and I'll say, I'll keep going a bit. You got these ones? Keep looking over at them in the eyes. What that does is they will look at you in the eyes and it just distracts them a little bit from this. And it's giving us that advantage to see that card before they do. So then I keep going, I'm spreading, and there, I've seen the 10 of clubs, so now I'm gonna come over and I'm gonna cover it, and now I'm gonna pause here. Here's the important thing. Make sure when you pull your hands apart that their card is the first card here, but it's so easy to do, guys. You go through, I see that ace of hearts, I'm literally gonna cover it and take my hands off, and I know, my fingers felt it underneath, so I know this is the ace of hearts at the bottom there, okay? And now watch this. You can spread, you say, you know, you got these ones, or have you seen your card yet, or whatever it happens to be. And there's no way they're gonna have seen that, because you can literally cover it the second you see it, and their eyes will be further down the spread. So you're way ahead. And now watch this. You can bring those cards back together and call that card at the exact same time to the top. And that is brilliant. And I use this all the time because I'm going through 4 of spades, let's say, all right? And I say, you know, you got these? And then I bring the cards and I keep spreading, and look at that. I've called that card and there's literally no hesitation because I'm deliberately pausing in position for the cull. And it's great because all I need to do is put this thumb on top of this, whatever card's here. There could be like 10 cards on top of their card. It could be a whole bunch. As long as I get my thumb on this packet, I can so easily just call their card out. So I literally say, I've literally cut the deck at their card, and as I'm bringing it together, I can execute the cull so easily as either I continue to spread or close up the deck. And that buys you so much time. So I actually do this a lot. I'll say, you know, you got these ones? Perfect. You got these ones? Okay, awesome. And then I'll I don't know if you guys see how amazing that is, but it's such a great tip that, and it's something that I've worked on a lot. This is a great tip for my open index system that I talk about, and it kind of involves this idea as well. And it's just so strong being able to deliberately pause in a justified way right at the moment when you're going to need to execute the cull. Because if you're not so good, or I mean, just in general, even if you're good at the cull, you're gonna see that card and you're gonna go and you're gonna have to, you know, execute the cull. But with this, it just feels like so open. You know, you come here, they never see their card at all because of how quickly you hide it, right? And again, hiding it is as simple as you see the King of Hearts, you just use this finger underneath to push whatever card is there right over top of it, and you separate. You know the King of Hearts is there. You say, okay, you know, they've never seen it. You bring the hands back together, and in that action, the card is already down here and culled. So that is an amazing subtlety and very, very important tip with the cull I can give you guys. Slow it down, try that out. It takes off all the heat. There's no pressure anymore. There's no pressure of worrying if you miss their card. You can literally go through, stop on their card, pause, say whatever you gotta say. Do you have these cards memorized? Let's keep going. and how I keep, you know what I mean? Like, it's too good. So in terms of body language with the Cull, you definitely want to be very natural. Just make it mimic your spread, and you don't want any, you don't want them to see these crazy fingers going, so that's why you need to get your angles good. You don't want there to be any pauses and jerking, so it's very important that you be rhythmic with this. Very smooth, natural, good rhythm, and that's the key to the Cull. Like, it does take a lot of practice. I'm still not even mastered it, in terms of at least that first card, because when I teach you guys how to call multiple cards at the end here, you'll see how that's actually easier than calling one card. But calling that first card is the hardest, because you have to get that thumb across, and for me, I'm still at the point where like I have to like a millisecond pause just to make sure that thumb comes on and I can get that first card. So in terms of uses and other ideas, I just want to reiterate that idea of breaking up the Cull, right? So you go through, you see their card, you cover it, you break the spread with their card here, and then as you close, you can literally cull that card so easily, so instantly, and it's so brilliant. So slow down your Cull, break it up when you get to their card. It's awesome. Obviously, you don't want to stop at their card like this so they can see their card, and then they'll see it disappear. You just want to make sure the second you identify their card up here, you cover it, spread, cull, close, done. Okay, so there's another way to do the Cull. Most people cull down like this, but a lot of times, especially if there are people sitting, you got to be worried of that action. That's the thing you don't want to flash, and you can only tilt the deck so much like this. So another great option is to turn to the side and cull like this. And that's where that pinkies underneath really help, because it prevents the cards from falling, because now they're against gravity. And it's exactly the same, it's just a different angle. Now you're like showing people cards this way, and you can still do the Cull the exact same way. So that's another important idea. Now, culling multiple cards. Let's go over the mechanics, and then I'll show you how to cull a 4 of a kind. Now this is the same for culling half of a deck, an entire color, and those are some really powerful applications of the Cull. Get good so you can cull you can cull 26 cards at once. It's amazing the things you can do. But I'll show you how to cull 4 of a kind. So the first is still the same. You got to come through, contact this card, and pull it over. But the beautiful thing is, now that you have this, you don't need this thumb anymore, because a lot of people cull wrong. They think they have to cull the next card they want to cull back underneath the card they've already culled, but that is wrong. You cull it over top, right? So you cull this one, and then the next one comes right over top, and over top, and over top. And it's so easy because you still have fully access to those fingers. So watch what I mean. If I cull one card, it acts as that leverage point so that you don't need this thumb. Watch, I'll spread, and look, watch the 5 of clubs here. This thumb is off. Remember, before it needed to be on. And I can cull it, and the rest of the spread doesn't come with it. 6 of diamonds here, I can cull it, and the rest of the spread doesn't come with it. If I don't have any cards there and I try to cull the King of Hearts, the whole spread closes. So once you've culled one card, you can cull the rest much faster, because you don't need this thumb to do anything. It doesn't need to contact the next card over. You can just literally pull cards out with your fingers, because the cards that are already culled are going to act as that leverage and that force to keep the spread in place. So it's amazing. So that's all you need to do to cull multiple cards. So for 4 of a kind, my tips, you start spreading, and I always like to do 4 of a kind at a bit of a slower pace. So I'll say, let's cull the 4. So I'll go through, I'll see 1, and I will just do the regular cull, get it in position. But now I can pick up a bit of speed, because I can cull the next ones of these so much faster, because again, I don't need this left thumb, and all I'm doing is pulling them over top like that, and it's really, really easy to get the 4s. To keep these cards in order underneath here while you're still spreading is pretty easy. They kind of just all fall in place, and they align at that pinky at the bottom, and everything just kind of falls into place. It's very similar to just one card. You're just adding cards on top. And with practice, you'll see it's actually much easier to cull all the cards after that first card, okay? So with the cull, there are like a ton of things you can do. You can do forces, you can do controls, and it's just an amazing move it's really, really versatile. All right, guys, that was a long video, but that is it for me on the cull. Like I said, there's a lot of different things you can do with the cull, and I really, really need you guys to go get that Roadrunner Cull DVD. It's a download now too, and it's so good. It'll talk to you a lot more about some of the troubleshootings, and his Roadrunner Cull is just amazing. The mechanics are similar to the spread cull, but he's got some very important touches that'll take your cull to the next level, allow you to cull half of a deck, and he'll show you like all the important wrist angles and all the like great DVD, and he's got a lot of great tricks too. So you guys need to really practice the cull. I've given you some tips that you can work on here, but it does take some good practice, okay? It's about building that rhythm, and that's the thing. You might have the mechanics of the cull. To be able to do it at speed where you have rhythm is important, and to make it look natural. You know, make sure those cards aren't just disappearing from the spread, they actually get covered before you cull them, and you have a nice rhythm and you don't pause too drastically when you go for that cull, right? Yeah, so the spread cull, one of my favorite moves these days, and something that I've spent a lot of time with, especially these days, and I'm starting to get quite fluid with it. So thanks, Paul, for the suggestion. This was a great video, very informative, and I'm sure it helped out a lot of people. So drop me a comment, guys, let me know what you think, and with all that said, like the video, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.